you gave me two options to pick from, and
I did.
I picked the simple option, which turned out to be the one I didn't think was going to be as simple. So there's one with a little more degree of fun and excitement. It's called the Ward 8. What can you tell me about it?
Well, I'm going to put my readers on, and I'm going to read a little bit of this. But this is I've seen this cocktail listed in a few different places. I've never had it. I didn't know anything about it, but it sounded great, and kind of an interesting kind of history on this. It says the Ward 8 cocktail is a rye whiskey cocktail invented in 1898 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Got some history on it.
It's a spin on the whiskey sour using rye whiskey, lemon, orange, and grenadine.
Orange.
What's with the name? The cocktail was created to celebrate a man named Martin Lamasne.
Okay.
His election to state legislator in the city's Ward 8 district helped clinch the win.
Okay, all right.
Today, Martin is all but forgotten, but the drink made in his honor remains. The Ward 8 is not a popular classic whiskey drink, but we think it deserves a revival. It's more intriguing than a whiskey sour, with a tart flavor from 2 citrus juices and the pomegranate zing of grenadine.
Well, maybe it is time for a little bit of revival on the Ward 8.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it, but just by reading it along with you as you read it, it sounds cool. It's a great concept. It's got a little bit of history behind it, so I'm definitely interested.
The thing that
and for me, that's part of the presentation.
Right. The thing that caught my attention with this is, we did a cocktail not that long ago that we used one of my new grenadines that I picked up off of Amazon. And so I saw this, hey, this has grenadine in there. But then as I started kind of reading through there and looking at the ingredient list, we've enjoyed many whiskey sours. And this does sound like a whiskey sour, just turned in a different direction.
Yeah.
The addition of the orange juice and a little bit of a grenadine.
Yeah, because before it was, the first sour you made was a Scotch sour with...
and then we eventually did a whiskey sour.
The Highland Park 12, right?
Yep. And then
good.
We eventually ended up doing a whiskey sour with the Dead Guy.
With Dead Guy, that was a good one too.
With Chandler.
Yeah, but this one, it's a little bit different. It's got a little extra. It's got more than just the spirit and some lemon.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was interesting too that there is no
juice and grenadine.
There is no sugar element to this. There's no simple syrup. There's no maple syrup. There's no syrup of any kind in this. It's two different.
The grenadine. The grenadine's pretty much a simple syrup.
And the grenadine's going
to fruit infusion.
Yeah, that's going to bring a good amount of sweetness to it by itself,
along with the orange juice.
And then you throw the 2 different citrus flavors in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one for sure. It comes in a coupe glass. Don't be a poop.
Freeze your coupe. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So we ran upstairs. We grabbed some supplies. We came back down to some already available supplies you had down here. Mm-hmm. You got yourself a coupe glass. You got some lemons, some oranges. You had your grenadine. What brand is it?
It is
Liquid Alchemist.
Liquid Alchemist. I was surprised to learn that, the orange we used was substantially larger than the lemon. And, man, it just didn't seem like a whole lot of orange juice came out of that orange.
Yeah, not a lot of juice came out of that orange, but it looked like it would be. It smelled great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it looked pretty easy to make with your little your juicer, your little hand squeezer juicer thing.
It works great, and having the little spout on the side of it makes it easy to pour it right into your jigger.
Yeah. Yeah, and the jigger's handy, so you know exactly how many ounces of what you're putting in there.
Every piece of fruit's going to be slightly different.
Right.
And was that a half an ounce, or was that 3/4 of an ounce?
No way to tell.
Or was that a full ounce?
Not unless you actually measure it.
Yeah. Well, shall we get into this?
Yeah, it looks good to me. We're going to try it, the Ward 8 cocktail.
I meant to do a double strain on there. I completely spaced it off, so it didn't double strain, but I think it'll be just fine.
Yeah, the Ward 8 cocktail featuring the Blacktooth American Rye Whiskey.
Cheers.
Cheers, sir. A light tap. Very light tap.
All right.
Huh. Very citrus forward.
Mm-hmm.
Little to no whiskey taste. but
Not-
it's got the grenadine on the back end.
Not a lot of sweetness to it either,
Yeah.
because it's all
Yeah,
citrus.
It's a sour.
It is a
it's a-
sour. Yep.
Yeah, this is a twist on a sour, and that's
I bet this would be delicious with half ounce of honey syrup.
maybe, but still, it's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. Especially if you like fruit juice, like lemon and orange. It is considerably more sour than I expected it to be.
You know, and the description talks about the tartness, and there is definitely a tartness
Oh yeah.
to this.
I squeezed my orange garnish in there. I don't think it'll make a lot of difference, but still. This one doesn't feel to me so much like a light, refreshing summer cocktail.
Yeah.
It's more like a Thanksgiving style cocktail. Like if you like mulled wine, then you would probably like this cocktail, the Ward 8. I think you could go a little harder on the
rye.
whiskey.
Yep.
Yeah, on the rye.
And just like with the last one, you know, maybe a High West double rye or something that has a little bit more proof to it might peek through a little bit better. Mm-hmm. As cool as these little skull skewer picks are, they definitely become a pretty top heavy.
Right. So, as you were putting the cherry onto the skewer and then the orange onto the skewer, I had no idea that there would be such a balance issue getting it to balance there on the rim. I was kind of taken aback by that a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the trick is, I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit right now, is not skewering it all the way down as far.
Huh.
So maybe like that.
Well, now your buoyancy aspect is gone because you
Very true.
drank 2/3 of it, of the cocktail.
So what are you trying to say here?
I have no idea.
You lush.
Glug, glug, glug. Now look at mine. I got a quarter. I got a quarter left. And you still... Well, nope. There you go. Now we're even, Steven.
You know, I've been watching a handful of these freezer door cocktail videos, and
Freezer door cocktail videos?
refrigerator door cocktails. I sent you one recently. I think
Oh,
I think it was
a
a thirsty
batch?
Yeah,
A batch cocktail?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, several of them I think they call them freezer door cocktails.
Okay.
And the Thirsty Whale did one, and I mean he hit the nail on the head. You know, I've seen several of these batch freezer door where you're doing, you know, a 750 bottle that you're refilling, or you're doing a, you know, your iced tea Tupperware
Yeah.
container to put in the fridge or whatever. Some of these cocktails that are very, very citrus forward, that's just not going to last in your fridge for a while.
It's
I
not.
mean, if
Orange
it-
juice, orange slices, like you stick that in the fridge, it's only good for, what, a day?
I mean, if you're gulping it down fast, or you know, you're doing it for a get together, awesome. That's a fantastic
day
idea.
of, sure, go for it.
But to call it a freezer or refrigerator door cocktail, it implies you're doing the large batch to pour yourself one and then enjoy it over the week or however long. You're not going to get a good life out of anything with a good amount of citrus. An old fashioned is great. Probably a Manhattan. I think, case in point, the ready mix barreled aged Manhattan that I brought back from the Buffalo Trace distillery. That was wonderful. So a Manhattan would make a great freezer door cocktail.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot in a Manhattan,
Right.
So that
and
wouldn't be
nothing
too hard.
that would deteriorate over time.
Is that the freezer door cocktail that in the link that you sent me, or was it old fashioned?
I think the old fashioned is what was in the link.
So what he used in place of orange, I think it was, he used orange bitters.
Yes.
And he used a pretty good amount of it because he made like a half-gallon pitcher.
He did
jar?
he did the math.
Pitcher
And
jug.
he I want to say it was like 3/4 of a cup.
3/4
or something.
It was 3/4 of more than I thought it was going to be. Because when we put bitters in there, we just throw a couple dashes in there. Yeah, that was like, god damn, that was quite a bit.
We also have sitting in front of us, Katie made us for our treats for the evening. She made homemade chocolate covered Oreos.
And they've got the colorful sprinkles on them.
And you can't tell because they are fully engulfed in that chocolate coating. But those are Super Mario Kart Oreos.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Okay. All right. When you say Super Mario Kart, are you talking about Super Nintendo or like Nintendo 64?
Like the Mario Kart Party.
All right. So I've only played the only Mario Kart I've ever played is Super Nintendo. So Super Mario Kart.
We've got an old school Wii.
Okay.
And Katie owns, I think, every single iteration of Mario Kart they ever made.
Okay. Well, if it's I've never played Super Mario Kart like from Super Nintendo on Wii, so that might throw me a little bit out of my comfort zone, out of my my little box that I like to stay in. But if it was on the regular Super Mario control or Super Nintendo controller and it's Super Mario Kart, I'll dominate. I can't be beaten.
In the last week or so, Henry has added Mario Kart to his list of YouTube video. He's got a kids YouTube account for him, and with that, you can lock it down. Originally, we did the kids YouTube, we just left it, and so the app lets him use the search criteria, but it's locked down to kids rated content. Well, as he's kind of gotten into it and learned how to use the search, there's a handful of, and it's not that they're inappropriate or anything like that, but there's a handful of just really fucking annoying videos that are out there that he just will watch over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's a 4-year-old, 3-year-old.
He's 3.5, yeah.
3.5, 4-year-old. That's their wheelhouse, man.
Right. Recently, he's really gotten into this. There's a channel of Super Mario where someone has basically just taken Mario Kart gameplay and turned them into videos, and he's finding them. He loves watching them, and he's enjoying them. At some point, we're going to transition that to a controller in his hand, and about 3 days after that, he's going to kick my ass on Mario Kart because that's just the way it goes.
I
remember
the new generation comes in and just wipes out the old generation.
I remember when my other son Ethan, when he was first born and then got up to about a little bit older than what Henry is now. I was hardcore into the P2, and I think I had just gotten the P3. No, I think that was P1 to P2, and that was about the time that he kind of got involved with that. And I had a handful of games that were like my games that I felt I was really good at, and then in no time at all of him getting into that, he just started smoking me at everything. and now he's on a P5 and does PC gaming and all kinds of stuff, and there's just too many damn buttons. I grew up in the age where on the Atari. You had a joystick and one button. That was it.
Yeah.
I also, grew up with, the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and then that kind of gave way to, the original PlayStation.
And
even the
Sega.
Yeah. And even the newer PlayStations is roughly the same controller, but now it's got a touchpad and all these combo moves where you do all this.
Okay.
It's...
Remember combo moves on Super Nintendo with Street Fighter.
Street Fighter
2.
Yes.
I was picked
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that was Sega, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Or was it? Yeah, I think that was Sega.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Finish him. Friendship.
I will say, and I'm not going to go back and change my rating because I've already done my math on this. But I will say I enjoyed the ending of this cocktail better than the first couple sips.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Do you think it would have done better with a dehydrated orange as part of the garnish?
I'm doing a little happy dance. I just got to that barrel-aged cherry.
That was almost one of those spiritual moments. Where, the middle-aged lady in the church pew has got her hand up in the air and her eyes closed, doing a little dance.
Hallelujah. And this is why I made sure I had my rating and my math done first, because if I would have gotten to that cherry, it would have just skewered all of my numbers.
Still though, I mean, this cocktail, it's deeply rich in a way where rich doesn't come into contact with sweet.
Yes.
Because like if you
100%.
if you eat something like cheesecake, it's like, oh wow, fuck, that's rich. That's
Yeah.
what you mean. What you say and what you mean is a little bit different. It's richly sour. It's almost like grapefruit. Like it's got a bitterness to it, but it also has a natural sweet to it. And with this pomegranate juice that you have, that actually tastes like pomegranate, not cherry, which is fucking weird. That roses or roses?
Yeah,
roses. The common everyday average pomegranate or
Bright red.
yeah, bright red grenadine that you're going to get off the shelf.
That we
chances are
thought
that
was
you're
cherry.
Gonna go for. I thought it was cherry. My whole life I thought it was cherry.
Right.
Damn you! What's the name? Salty whale.
Yes.
Damn you, salty whale.
Thirsty whale.
Damn you, thirsty whale. Where did I get salty whale? Fuck. Anyway, so yeah, it's deeply rich in a way that is not sweet. It's not savory. It's in the bittersweet sour spectrum of the flavor palette, and it's good. It's delightful. It's delicious. But it's definitely worth trying.
Part of me wonders if, I don't know, I enjoyed this cocktail, but part of me feels, and it's weird to say this because so many cocktails end up being lemon heavy. I feel like it was actually orange heavy. It had equal parts orange and lemon juice, but I feel like maybe the orange kind of overtook the lemon.
All right, so on the palate, the orange overtook kind of everything. It overtook it even overtook the rye whiskey.
Very much so.
How does orange do that? But this time it did in this cocktail, which is fine. Every cocktail is different. But on the finish, the grenadine came along and wrapped you in a warm blanket of sweet complexity. It was there for you, and you didn't. It was there for you in a time that you didn't know that you needed somebody to be there. if that makes any sense.
Yep. We'll go with it.
So we're going to go back here real quick to our rating. We talked
Yes.
about it. You alluded to it that you already had your total, so you're not going to go
do.
back and change anything.
Nope. I'm gonna leave
since
it.
you hit that barrel-aged cherry and had your moment. Like with me and my honeycomb, you have the barrel-aged cherry. Do you want to start?
I'll start it.
Start it, yeah. What'd you give it on the nose?
I'm a fan of citrus flavors, and
Perfect.
this had lots and lots of orange and lemon on there. I gave it a 3.
Okay, so you started off saying that you started off.
I just ruined you, didn't
What
I?
in the blue fuck just happened here? You said you started off by saying I love me some citrus, and this was very citrus forward.
Yeah.
You give it a 3.
I did.
That's just a touch above average.
Yeah, it's on a 1 to 5 scale, a 3 is a half a point above, but it's still acceptable. I didn't give it anything higher than that because
You're stingy with your rating system.
I'm stingy, but there was nothing but orange and lemon on the nose.
Okay.
I got nothing else. There was nothing else sneaking in, nothing hinting here and there. It was just oh, it's orange juice in the morning.
I can see that.
So-
I can see that. And so I gave it a 4.
Okay.
Just because it was so, like you said, so citrus forward on the nose. I was like, well, if this is what it's supposed to be, this is definitely what it is. And so I gave it a 4. How about on the palate?
A palate, I went right down the middle. I gave it a 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
it was everything you expected it to be. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. It was okay.
Okay.
It was just right there in the middle. I think I was partially expecting a little bit more sweetness to it, even though we read that this is a play off of a whiskey sour, but more tart. We read that. We talked about that. I was just still expecting it to have a little bit of a sweetness.
Yeah.
When you make a whiskey sour, you've got a healthy amount of lemon in it, but you also have a healthy amount of some kind of a syrup sweetener, whether it's just a simple syrup or maple syrup or whatever. There's some kind of a sweetener in there that
It's usually right at about half and half.
it balances a sweet and sour type of mixture. This was tart and sour and didn't have a sweetness to balance it out. So 2.5.
Yeah. All right. I
You?
gave it I didn't give it far from that. I gave it a 3.
Okay.
It was like you had already said. It was more for me. Like I expected it to be one thing, but when I tasted it, it was like when I tasted it, it became the experience was what I knew it should have been by the description. So I don't know what I was expecting before, even though we had already read the description. It's like the difference between reading the instructions on how to build rebuild a carburetor and then actually rebuilding the carburetor.
Right. Yep.
It's like the experience is way different.
Yep.
Way different.
Yep.
And so so I gave it a 3. And so finish, I gave the finish a 3.5.
Okay.
Because it was more complex. Because on the finish, some of the sweetness of the orange kicked in, and that's where I experienced the grenadine, the pomegranate coming in. And the pomegranate came in, and it didn't just come in and grab you; it circled you and it grabbed you.
Okay.
It's like being surrounded by fucking like I don't know what, like you know how you have a murder of crows and a flock of geese. What are crabs?
I don't know.
It's a group, whatever that name is, of crabs. They come in, they circle you with their little fucking crab legs, and then they encircle you, and then they come in and they get you. That's how the grenadine kind of felt.
I've heard the crabs do that.
Okay. So if you want to flip to that analogy, that actually probably works. Actually, a lot better because it started off slow, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit,
Fire!
Yeah, it starts off slow with like a little bit of a sensation, and then all of a sudden, oh my fuck, this is wow. Yeah, so like that's how the pomegranate, the grenadine came in for me. It's like there was a hint of it, and then it started coming a little bit stronger. But that's just me with the finish. It was on the palate. It was sour forward, and then the finish started off a little hint of the sweet, which took immediate backseat, and then in came the crabs. So that's why I gave it a 3.5. So what did you give it?
I gave it a 2.
You gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2.
Okay.
The finish didn't do anything for me. It was just
Okay.
kind of eh.
All right.
I was already on citrus orange overload.
Okay.
I was kind of done with it. So it was a 2.
Okay. How about presentation?
Presentation, I gave this one a 4.
Okay.
I docked it a little bit from what I gave the whiskey ginger.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why.
Just felt right.
Yeah, it felt right. I was anticipating when I was skewering the garnishes on there. It ended up and it was probably 100% the heavy metal, literally skull skewers.
Yeah,
make the end of them very heavy. If I would have used the bamboo skewers, it would not have been any issue whatsoever. It would have balanced and stayed exactly where it was supposed to the first time. And so I knocked it a little bit just because I was a little frustrated at fiddling with getting it the final presentation.
Yeah, with your
But it was
typical
okay.
like bamboo skewer or your toothpick, your club frill or whatever. That's the toothpick with a little plastic
Right.
fizzy thing on the end. Come to find out, that's another story for another day. But like these, the center of gravity is.
Yeah. There is no center of balance.
It's like right at the chin of the skull, like right at the very fucking end of it.
Right there.
It's right there. Yeah, you found it. So yeah, you accidentally added a level of difficulty. Presentation.
It's face down too, because if I turn this face up, there it goes. Stupid.
It's like when you take your car to a mechanic, you're like, it's making this funny noise, and then it doesn't make the noise right when you need it to.
Did you try taking the Mariah Carey CD out of the CD player?
Oh man. It's like it's March. Why are you still listening to this Christmas music? Like, what? Are you fucking crazy? It's not March. It's the end of July. What are you doing? Oh, Christmas in July. Fuck all that noise. Fucking Mariah Carey. So, presentation, you gave it a what?
A 4.
Give it a 4. I gave it a 5 because I thought it looked great. It was in a coupe, and you weren't a poop. You froze your coupe.
Yep.
And it looked great with the cocktail itself. Looked great as it poured in there and filled the glass. The garnish was good with the skull skewer. Yeah, it made it a little bit difficult to put in there. But when it was in there, it looked good. You left
Nope.
the tail
No.
on the cherry, which I could go either way on that. I don't care if it's there. I don't
No.
care if it's not. But it does make it easier to grab it when you're done with the cocktail. You grab that sumbitch out.
Oh, here he goes. Here he
There it
goes.
goes. Oh, that was so fucking good, dude. Man.
I just bought 2 more jars of it, and I feel like I'm gonna be reordering here before too
Hopefully
long.
you used the link
Oh fuck yes, I did.
in the shop section of SavorTheBurn.com.
Absolutely.
Bro, that's so good. So that brought your total to what?
5 3/4.
5 3/4 rating. Mine was a 7 3/4.
Okay.
But I think we had I think we had a Manhattan before. No, a Boulevardier, I think is what it was. Where it wasn't sweet, but it was very deep as far as flavors go.
Lot
in
of
a way
spice.
in a way that I'm not used to, which really kind of made me stop and appreciate the experience that I was having at the moment. And so that's kind of what this cocktail did. And I was trying to keep in mind the history behind it, because it's little known history. This cocktail, the Ward 8, is pretty much forgotten. And so folks are trying to remember the Ward 8 and bring it back to the forefront, or maybe not the forefront, but just bring it back. It deserves a revival. So it
Absolutely.
says. So I said in my little synopsis here at the end, if you like mulled wine, you'll like this cocktail. A sour, fruit-forward cocktail that puts you in the mood for comfort foods and a low-key friend/family environment. Find a reason to try this deeply satisfying cocktail. I just left it at that.
Excellent.
And so it's not just any Ward 8. It is the Blacktooth Rye Whiskey Ward 8. Did you ever have a chance to meet Dimebag?
I did not.
I did not either. But you said you had seen Pantera before?
Unfortunately, I did not. Mitch
Fuck,
did.
That makes both of us.
But yeah, never got around to
I never got to
getting
see
in
him.
and see them.
So I mean, not just Pantera, but also Damage Plan.
Yep. I have seen Hell Yeah.
I saw them
With Vinnie
maybe
Paul.
twice. Mhm.
Yep.
And I've seen Down several times. I saw Super Joint twice, but I never got to see Dime in action. And that's always been a big fucking bummer to me. I always kind of makes my little heart face go sad when I think about that. Wherever he is, I hope he's rocking in peace.
Cheers and happy birthday.
Cheers and happy birthday, Daryl Lance Abbott, better known as Dimebag Daryl.